Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm working on the trunk of the car. So I want to put a carpeted panel here to cover up all of this. And I was at the Mustang Owners Museum this past week and I got a really nice running pony plaque that I want to put in the middle of it. I also got some red LED lighting that I want to put behind the pony. That way there's like red lighting coming from behind it. It's kind of a wild idea, but I'm gonna give it a go. Gonna, try to get what I'm doing right now. I've already kind of started, is trying to get a template for what I need to cut out of the wood that I'm gonna be using here. I'm using a piece of cardboard here to try to trace the line of the weather stripping here, because it's gonna be the same curve as this, if that makes sense. And then also, trace the corners here. So that's what I'm working on at the moment. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to get this traced and see how this turns out. This might not work, but I'm gonna try to figure it out, and hopefully it turns out pretty good. So yeah, I'm gonna finish taping this down and then trace the bottom edge, and I'll let you see what I come up with. All right guys, so I got the bottom edge here figured out, so that it sits flush there on the bottom. Now I just need to round this here and make it look nice and clean. And then I think I'm gonna have to add another piece of cardboard up here so that I can fill out all this area up here like I want to. So this is gonna be kind of tricky, but if there's a will, there's a way. I posted online and asked some people about it, and they posted some pictures of ones that they have, and this one guy said that he had it made. I think another guy made one himself, so I was like, well, I think I can probably figure it out. Main thing I'm trying to get right now is just the shape and the outline of it. Then after I get that, I've got some really thin wood right here that I'm gonna use and cut out. And then of course, after I get it all covered, I got black acrylic felt, really nice soft felt. And like I said, I do have some LED bars. I think they're 9-inch bars. I'm gonna put 2 of them behind this running pony here. I'll show this to you as well. This thing is super nice. So yeah, we'll get that in there with some LEDs mounted in behind it. And then of course my car is a Cobra, so I may even add this to it as well. Not sure. I also ordered a metal plaque that says powered by SVT, so I may end up using that. But yeah, I'm gonna keep tinkering with this cardboard and see if I can get a decent mold made, and I'll let you know what I figure out. All right guys, so update. Last night, it was like 1 a.m. when I was making that video, so I ended up stopping. This was the piece y'all seen that I had. What I ended up doing was getting a big piece of cardboard and just I didn't even use the lid of the trunk. I used the opening of the trunk. I'll run in here real quick and show you. I just laid a piece of cardboard here, and then I stuck my arm up underneath of it and I traced the weather stripping all the way around. And that gave me a much nicer piece. As you can see here. So this is the piece that I'm working with now. But what I want, the piece that I have now, it stops because like of course I didn't trace all this, so it's just like straight across here. But as you can see up in here, it keeps a curve up into this area, and I want my panel to be up here. So I was like sitting here trying to think about how I could do it, and then I realized this curve is probably the same as this curve. So I used this, like, it's kind of complicated, but I used the old piece that I was working with and the new piece that I had cut, and I taped them together so that I could trace that curve, as you can see here. And what I'm doing is I'm just cutting it out with an oscillating multi-tool. So I'm gonna get this little piece cut and then tape it together, and that should give me a good you know, model so that I can lay it on the plywood that I bought and cut out a perfect piece. So yeah, just wanted to update you. It's kind of complicated, but you know, I'm figuring it out. All right, so now I have the second piece I cut and then the curve from the first piece secured together. As you can see, it actually doesn't fit down in here. So the next thing that I want to make this panel as big as possible. I want it to cover as much as possible up there, you know, naturally. So the back edge back here, I think I'm good on, as you can see. But the problem I'm having is the sides and then like up to here. So what I'm gonna do, at least what my plan is I'm gonna start where it starts touching and measure in like a 1/4 inch, or no, yeah, probably like a 1/4 inch, and then go like 2 inches down and measure in a 1/2 inch, and then go 2 inches down and then measure in an inch, and then inch, 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 and then do the same thing up here. Step back down to a 1/2 inch into a 1/4 inch. That way I keep that curve, if that makes sense. So that I can cut it out to where this will fit down inside of here. And then once I get to that point, I think what I'm gonna do to make everything square and everything is, once I get this template done and I cut it out of the wood, I'm gonna shut the trunk and I'm gonna get inside my car and crawl back here to the trunk and put some lighting in there, and I'm gonna mount the wood while the trunk's closed. That way I know for sure that it's centered and the trunk will lift up, if that makes sense. And then I'll cover it with the black felt that I have and get the lighting and everything in there. So this is a tricky project, but I'm having fun with it, and I think it's going to turn out great. All right, so what I did was I laid it in here like as square as I could, and then I marked it where it started touching the weather stripping. And back here I just kind of stood over it and marked where I thought that it would touch on both sides. And then I took my tape measure and I made a mark every 1 inch, which was, you know, the width of the tape on the tape measure. So I did 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 3/8, 3/8, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and then stepped it back down to 3/8, 3/8, 1/4, 1/4, bam. I did that on both sides. It was a little tedious, but I'm gonna go ahead and draw the line around this and then get it cut out. And hopefully this will be my final template, so I can go ahead and cut out my 11/32 thickness plywood. All right, guys, so after a lot of trimming and and you know, just test fitting and trimming and test fitting and trimming. Like I said, what I ended up doing after, you know, I made the template with the whole of the trunk, and then I did the curvature. I took, starting with a 1/4 inch, then stepped up to 3/8, then 1/2 inch, and took a 1/2 inch out of all this, and then came down to here and stopped, and then I did the same method for this curve down here. 1/4 inch, 1/4 inch, 3/8, 3/8, and then 1/2 inch all the way across. And I finally got it to where I have the panel as large as it can possibly be, and the trunk still shut. Now, the only thing I'm noticing is this wire here is rubbing, the weather stripping, which, I mean, it's not a big deal, but I'm gonna have to figure out how I'm gonna route this wire. I may cut a notch out of it. I thought about possibly cutting a hole in the panel and unplugging the wire and actually feeding the wire through the panel and then running it across after I carpet it. But I don't know if I'm gonna do that yet or not. I haven't decided. But as you can see, you know, it's hard to get an up close glimpse, but the trunk shuts just fine and then opens just fine. So I'm thinking I've got it right. As I said, I'm gonna cut it out of 11/32 plywood. This stuff here, it's really thin. I bought the flattest piece they have, and it's been sitting in my garage, and now it's got a curve to it, of course. I'm just gonna lay it on the damn floor and put some weight on it. That way this thing will flatten out real good for me. But I think it's time to cut out the piece of plywood. I wanted to keep doing the measuring with the cardboard before I cut it out of the plywood, because this is a project board that you buy at Lowe's. It's only 2 foot by 4 foot, so it's like a half. They took a sheet of plywood and stripped it in half, and it's like 20 bucks, so I don't want to waste it. So I think the way that I'm gonna secure it is with black self-tapping screws. I think that's going to be the best way to do it, because you know, there's 2 layers of metal here, so I can just sink a self-tapper through like one here, one here, one here, maybe one in the center, and then one here, and that should be all it takes. Like 1, 2, 3, 4, like maybe 5 self-tappers. The only thing is, I've only found black self-tappers at Lowe's one time, I think, and it doesn't seem like Lowe's or Home Depot has them when I Google it. So I'm not sure how I'm going to proceed with securing it quite yet, but I'll figure it out. I may use hex head self-tappers. I know for a fact I can get those. The only thing is they're 1 inch long, and I don't know if there's 1 inch of clearance. What the fuck is that? I don't know if there's 1 inch of clearance under all of this, but I guess we'll find out. Why is that so dirty inside of there? That's like inside of the trunk lid. Wow, that's disgusting. I wonder how that dirt's getting in there. I guess maybe around this panel where the license plate is. So, yeah, I'm gonna probably go ahead and cut my panel, and then run out and get some self-tapping screws. I know I have some here, but they're probably silver. I guess I could paint them, but we'll see. I'm gonna get this piece of wood cut out, get the black felt over it. I pondered even putting some memory foam under it, that way it's got kind of a sponge to it, but we'll see. So yeah, I'm really happy with the size of it. I think it's gonna look great. So, oh, there was one thing. So you know, your trunk, when you open it, a light comes on. So I'm going to wire a red LED. I'm gonna like splice it into that so that when the trunk opens, that red LED comes on and backlight, and you know, is backlit for the Mustang emblem that I have. So it's gonna look really cool when I get done with it, hopefully. But yeah, I'm gonna quit yapping and try to go get the stuff that I need all together, and then I'll pick back up with you when I start cutting the final piece of wood out. All right guys, so these LEDs I got off Amazon. They're plugged into a cigarette lighter, and it's like got 4 of them, and you can make them pulse with the music and whatever. All I want is the light to light up when the trunk opens, so I want to splice it into that trunk bulb. So what I did was I just got a battery here and I started playing with it, because it's not like a normal light. There's 4 wires in here, and it took me, I kept switching wires around between positive and negative until I finally figured this out. But pretty much, let me see if I can get my phone to sit here while I do this. But pretty much you're gonna want the white, red, and blue, all 3 on negative, and then positive on the black wire. And that makes the whole LED light up. And for some reason, like, the white, blue, and red wires are grounds for the 3 different sections of the LED. So as you can see, like, when I take like each individual wire off of the ground part of the LED goes out, the red is for like, the red wires for like this third, the white wires for like this third, and the blue wires for like this third. So I just need to splice all 3 of these wires into the negative, and then this black wire into the positive, and in theory when I open the trunk, that should come on. So yeah. All right, now I have my LEDs. I have 2 of them spliced into one like speaker wire type wire. It's called lamp wire. I bought it at Home Depot for like $3. I figured lamp wire would be like, you know, it's light, so it's like a good gauge for just lighting. And then I ran it up and I actually jammed it down into this wiring harness that the trunk bulb jumps off of. So as you can see, when I shut the trunk, the lights go off. When I open the trunk, the lights come on, which is exactly the effect I was looking for. So I'll probably just tape that harness up and make sure that it's all nice and clean. It's in there pretty good. I just cut it a little bit long and twisted it and then folded it over so that I could jam it down in there, and it's actually decently held in there. So after I tape it, it'll be more than good. And then I did use heat shrink because I was splicing like 8 wires into 2 wires, and I just didn't want nothing ugly. All this wire is going to be hidden anyways, but yeah. Off when the trunk's shut, on when the trunk's open. And again, this is, I'm going to have that running pony there, and then these LEDs, one's going to be pointing down and one's going to be pointing up, and they're going to be behind that pony. So it's going to look sick. But yeah. All right, guys, I got my wooden panel cut out now. I went over here and secured it to the trunk with one self-tapper just to test it, and it just barely shuts. It does make this wire rub a little bit, but I also didn't have this in here, so that may have been why it was rubbing, because that without, yeah, that's why it was rubbing. So everything's good. I just need to get the wires wired up. I need to get the felt on the board, get holes drilled in the board, and then figure out how I'm gonna mount the pony to the board and mount the lights behind the pony, and then it'll be time to mount it. So yeah, I'm coming right along with this. All right, so I have opened up the package of felt that I got from Amazon. It's a 36 by 72 piece of acrylic black felt, cut out enough to where there's, you know, some overlap on the edges. What I'm gonna do is I have a hammer stapler here with 1/4 inch staples that I'm gonna smack in and stretch this felt really good to try to get this line out of it. I think that when I stretch it, the line should come out. Yeah, so that's gonna be my first step. And then like I said, we're gonna get this beautiful chrome running pony centered up on it, and then I'm going to see about mounting the pony with the LEDs behind it and then running the wiring out the back. So we're on the home stretch here. It's looking good. All right, I got the black felt all on here. I hammer stapled it and stretched it like super tight so that I could get all the lines out, and I think it turned out pretty good. So now I'm gonna give y'all a glimpse of my idea here of what I want my final product to be like. So this is gonna be what the bottom of the trunk looks like, except this is gonna be slightly raised and there's gonna be red LEDs shining from behind it. So I'm gonna get on that part. First I'm gonna find the center, because I have OCD. I'm gonna find the center and then find the center of the pony and then make sure that I'm securing it right and all that jazz. This thing is made to be hung on a wall, so I'm not 100% sure how I'm gonna secure this yet, but I'm gonna figure it out. So yeah. All right, so after a good bit of brainstorming and thinking and digging through random bolts and nuts, keep in mind I save everything. I found these two random panhead bolts that have nuts on them because I needed something. My idea was to put a bolt in here, and then I'm gonna zip tie these two together and put them like that, and that way I can have the bolt in between the two bulbs and the nut is gonna hold it all together, and then I can run zip ties through the back of the board and secure to the lights, and the lights are holding the pony, because I don't want it to look like I've got screws or anything in this. I want it to just look like it's floating there. So I ended up finding these pan-headed bolts so I can hook them up underneath of there like so, and then once I tighten the nut down on this, I'm hoping that it stays. So we'll see what happens. These lights have little tiny holes on the end, so I'm going to use some wire that I have. Like I said, I save everything, so I have all kind of junk laying around to wire these together so that they're nice and tight together, and then hopefully there's enough space between the two to where that bolt can fit through, but the nut will stop it from sliding off. So that's my idea. That's what I'm gonna try. I think that's what's gonna end up working. So if this hardware doesn't work, I'm gonna end up, you know, trying to find hardware that does. All right, guys. So I got everything mounted up with the floating pony. My LEDs are up under there, as you can see. My idea with the bolts worked. And then on the ends of the bolts, as you know, I have a 12 in the trunk, so I figured used a washer and a lock washer, but the nuts are not lock nuts. So I figured the base from that 12 would probably rattle that nut loose. So I wrapped electrical tape over the end, and then I melted it with a lighter and like smashed it with my finger, so it's got like a cap on it. Then I ran the wires into the center, and then I used a zip tie through one of the bulbs, because if I use just the wires to hold it in, then the feet here kind of touch. It sits at an angle, and I wanted it to be like flush. So I actually have a battery here, so I can show you guys real quick. We can test it, and I can show you what it's going to look like if I can remember which wires which. One of these wires has writing on it. Yeah, that's the positive. All right, so I'll just do this. And that's what it came out to. Matter of fact, I'm gonna hook this up to my battery here. And then turn the light off so you can see. Oh yeah. This turned out amazing. I am hype right now. Once I mount this thing to the trunk, it's gonna look freaking awesome, man. I can't wait. Tell me that isn't awesome right there. So yeah, I'm gonna get this thing mounted up to the trunk lid, and then we're all done. I couldn't find the black self-tappers, so I'm gonna use just silver self-tappers for now. I mean, this is chrome, so having a couple silver dots around the edges ain't gonna be that big of a deal. But yeah. All right, guys, so finally got everything together the way I want it. And I must say, this turned out even better than what I had anticipated. That's just beautiful. I still have some adjustments to make, get the rest of the screws in, and I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with this, because it's like dragging the weather stripping a little bit. But all in all, as you can see, I got it set up to where it turns off when I shut the trunk, and then when I open the trunk, it flashes 3 times and then lights up. I want to see what this looks like in the dark. See what it'll look like at nighttime. I can't see shit, but I can see with my phone. Oh wow. Yeah, so I am very pleased with how this turned out. Never seen anybody do anything like this, so one of a kind, baby.